My elder brother, Vijayam, was an epitome of atheist and humanist leadership. His education and practical, global and national experience has made him a highly informed individual, although he led a life of simplicity. For over 6 decades, he has been actively associated with the activities related to atheism, humanism, rationalism, and the promotion of scientific temper. I have seen him more as an individual who had the tenacity of purpose to build partnership, bridge relationship with location, national, international audience to make sure that the humanist and atheist movement have a strong foundation. His commitment towards environmental protection, social development, human rights, secular thoughts and action, and constitutional sanctity to protect the rights and duties of citizens is second to none. Gora and Saraswati Gora have sacrificed their lives for the greater good of the society, and for over 80 years, Atheist Center has been rendering services above self and for building rational society. Seeds of critical thinking, secularism, peace, and non-violence have been showed in the young minds to build generations of tolerant, rational, and practical human beings. With innovations in reaching to larger community such as positive atheism, YouTube channel, Gora and Saraswati Gora International Atheist Research Center, etc., we intended to build a stronger rational society. The loss of Vijayam and earlier Vidya, Lavanam, Yamalata, Maitri, now Veeraya, even though is heavy on us, their work has laid stronger foundation for continued commitment and ground by the generations. This meeting is a remembrance of my brother who stood firm on his atheist and humanist values, strengthened the Atheist Center, and fueled atheist and anti-humanist movement at multiple levels. It is a recognition of his life and work. I thank you all for joining us to share your thoughts and remembrance of Vijayam for his life commitment. Jai Insan.
Thank you very much, Dr. Samra, for your words. In fact, 1 year was too quick for all of us. Last year was the 80th year of Atheist Center, where we had some of our colleagues and friends who are here, who have joined us. And after that, most of the activities have been virtual. And 80 years is an amazing journey of the center, where right from Gora, Saraswati Gora, and all the entire family members who stood firm to ensure that we reach out to people even in these pandemic times. The key aspect is to extend medical social work, medical service, community service, ensuring we reach the people in distress and make sure that the service is rendered uninterruptedly has been our focus. In spite of all the kind of ups and downs we experienced, including the loss of Vijayam, and at last it was now the 9th child of Gora, so, who headed Arthik Samta Mandal. So we had our own setbacks with the loss of human beings, but their work, their commitment of building second line leadership and entrusting that responsibilities has been incredible. We had Vidya, who was Vidya, and then post Vidya we have her children who are taking care of Vasav Mela Mandali, and the same way as Lavanam and Hemalata's demise, then we had Hari Subramanyam, who has come in place to take over Samskar. So organizations are moving forward, and we really appreciate all of your support and being with us at all times, both in times of celebration and in times of coming together to remember people as well. Thank you very much for joining us once again. I see just Sonja Egrix is just taking some more time to join us. So I would request Lars Gule, former Secretary General, Norwegian Humanist Association, Norway, who has joined us from Oslo, to kindly share his thoughts.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation to this remembrance. I visited the Atheist Center in 2005 for the Congress in January of that year. And I was impressed by the work of Dr. Vijayam and his family, the whole family and colleagues. And without a doubt, the center and its affiliated organizations have forwarded rationalism and humanism in India, not least through its social and humanitarian work. However, my own contact with our Indian friends and fellow humanists has been very limited. I have only visited India this once. Therefore, it is appropriate that I forward the following greetings from Levi Fragel, who visited India numerous times and kept in close contact with Dr. Vijayam and the Atheist Center. And Levi has asked me to forward the following. And I'm quoting him. Dr. Vijayam is one of the international humanists that has meant most for my own ethical values and strategies. I met him first time at the World Atheist Congress in Vijayawada in 1990, and later more than 20 times. My focus and attraction was the fact that Vijayam and the Gora family had established a humanitarian network of social, medical, and educational activities in a large number of Indian villages and towns, based on their own ethical and non-religious values. As one of the leaders of the world humanist movement, I wanted to see how to make humanism more active in practical life, not only as a philosophical option. The Atheist Center's remarkable success caused attention in wide circles around the world, and in the center in Vijayawada, I met the world's best-known atheist, Madeleine Murray O'Hare from the United States, and some of the most famous scientists like Herman Bondi from Great Britain. What I saw and experienced here caused that I later brought with me several Norwegian humanists leaders to see some of the moving and impressive projects. It was an unforgettable experience for us all. Vijayam and several of his relatives became well known and highly respected locally and nationally, and I would add internationally. But I have been impressed and grateful for their sober lifestyle and modest appearance. Vijayam was the right role model for his own network and for all organized atheists and humanists. For my own part, I will add that I hope the Atheist Center will continue its good and important work for years to come, also in memory of Dr. Vijayam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lars. In fact, the relationship between Atheist Center and Norwegian Humanist Association absolutely has been cemented with all your visits. Levi, I had reached out to him. I know Levi is not feeling well to speak, come on and speak, but we're glad that he's recovering. And the same way, all the Norwegians who have supported us in various activities, right from Hamu, Vasar Milhamanli, and other activities, you have come in for the World Atheist Conferences and for the disaster response work, tsunami response work. So I think the relationship has been much stronger both on a humanitarian, from a humanitarian angle as well as a humanist space as well. So it's an incredible relationship we have built over the years, and we look forward for a generational connect so that the movement strengthens further, both in Norway as well as in India and in Asian region. And that's what all the Atheist Center members aspire to happen. Thank you very much once again, Lars. And please do convey our greetings to Levi and everybody at the Norwegian Humanist Association, Rose Johnson and everybody as well. Thank you very much. Now I request Dr. Vogel Muller from German Freethinkers Association, Germany, to kindly share his message.
Hello, good afternoon. Dear humanists and freethinkers, dear friends at Atheist Center, dear Gora family. We miss a very good friend. Dr. Vijayam passed away on May 22nd in 2020. He was, for me, a well-known, not only for me, a well-known social reformer and social worker, a famous authority of secular humanism and positive atheism, the executive director of Atheist Center in Vijayawada. Especially Vijayam's support has benefited the Indo-German Youth Exchange with the Humanist Freethinker Association between Vijayawada and Brandenburg in Germany since 1996, essentially, like his brother Lavan. We had many remarkable meetings and conversations with Vijayam that we never forget. He led one of the wonderful Indian youth team in Germany as well. He has influenced and shaped my life as my older brother and that of so many other people. Dr. Goparayu Vijayam has been actively associated with the activities of atheism, humanism, rationalism, and promotion of scientific temper for over 6 decades. As second son of Gora and Saraswati Gora, he worked in the humanist and atheist movements for secular social work, critical thinking, and free inquiry in India and globally. He was a Gandhian. He struggled for peace and freedom, for human rights, for a casteless and non-religious civil society in tolerance and dignity. The entire Gora family has been in the forefront of social reform in the country and immensely contributed towards nation building and global development for over 80 years. We never forget Vijayam's engagement for the Gora Science Center, for the excellent library of the Atheist Center, for the World Atheist Conferences, for the network with other humanists, rationalists, and atheists. Our last meeting with him was during the excellent 11th World Atheist Conference in Vijayawada in January 2020. Vijayam was associated with his brothers, Dr. Samaram Lavanam Nyanta, and his sisters, Anorama, Maitri, Vidya, Dr. Maru, and now, and the entire Gora family. Vijayam married Sumati. I wish his son, Vikas, and his family all the best and good strange for the time without his father. Let us come together in our one world, in our global village, I like this word, to a powerful international movement of peace, human rights, tolerance, and secular future. That's real secular humanism. We are a global family for secular humanism. Vijayam was a leading figure, a philosopher, a political scientist, and practical social worker. We have to go the way of positive atheism now without Vijayam. He has given us experiences. He influenced our lifestyles. I'm proud to know Dr. Vijayam and to wend a good way together with him. Jay and San. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Poker. I think that is, thank you. That message is loud and clear for the kind of relationship between the German Freethinkers Association and Atheist Center for over decades, especially youth exchange, investing in youth as young harbingers of change, especially exchange from India to Germany and vice versa has helped, especially in bringing in a cross-cultural learning, understanding how humanism is in action. And we really appreciate the German government as well, the entire German Freethinkers Association for continuing such partnership with Atheist Center. And a lot of youth have got this opportunity from various corners, and they enjoyed the learning that has happened during this exchange. So we look forward for continued partnership, and thank you very much as always, being our well-wisher as well. Please do convey our greetings to all our German youth there. Thanks. Thank you very much. Thank you. So we're still waiting for Shunja, and I think Raj Gopal ji is also going to join us from Canada. Before that, I request Ms. Bobby Kirkard, who is the president of the Atheist Alliance International and the vice president of Secular Coalition for America from USA. Bobby, please share your message. Bobby, I think you're on mute. If you can please unmute. You can see. Yes, please.
There. Hi. Okay, this is better. I did not know Dr. Vijayam well, but he had an important influence on my life. I first met him at the Atheist Center, where he was very much in his element among other courteous, knowledgeable, and dedicated hosts. It was and is a wonderful place full of wonderful people. I noted that Dr. Vijayam enjoyed respect among his peers there. But my most vivid memories are when he visited Los Angeles, where he split his time between being an eager tourist visiting new sites and acting as my teacher, patiently answering each of my questions with clarity and wisdom. The tourist was appreciative of everything he saw and everyone he met. I remember he was particularly happy to meet the captain of the Queen Mary. He did not seem to realize the fact that the captain was impressed to meet him. The Professor Vijayam had a most profound effect on me. I was, and still am, obsessed with the question of how Gora might have altered his opinions had he lived into modern times. Of course, his philosophy would not have been changed in any basic way, but all of us change over long periods of time. Dr. Vijayam helped me tread the imaginary path of the positivist philosopher interpreting human nature and societal belief into a changing world. I owe him a great debt.
Thank you very much, Bobby. I think with the kind of relationship we have with American humanists, especially from right from Professor Paul Kurtz to John Edwards, Fred Edwards, and all the colleagues who are there, Jan Loeb Eisler, and I mean, the list can go on and on. So the visitors have come to Atheist Center for decades, and so did we get the opportunities to interact. And I think myself and Samaram, and also I think Kranti Prasad, and they all visited Professor Paul Kurtz in Center for Inquiry in Buffalo, New York. So we did get chance to meet all our colleagues there, and Tom Flynn and everybody. So it's been an amazing sharing of experiences, sharing notes on to strengthen the humanist movement and atheist movement in the US as well as in India. Again, we really appreciate you joining us and look forward for continued partnerships. And that's going to be a new norm for us right now, is to work online until we meet in person. So thank you very much for joining us. Thanks, Bobby.
My pleasure.
Yes. Now I request Balamohan Das, former Vice Chancellor, Nagarjuna University, to kindly share his message.
Sad occasions, happy occasions. Gora family is known for Sthita Prajnata. We remember Dr. Vijayam, the fifth child of Gora. He used to say me, I am middleman, 4 above, 4 down. I have greater responsibility. We miss physically Dr. Vijayam, but his values, ideals, service projects initiated by him, and even ethical concepts truly practiced by him are always with all of us. As other friends from abroad, German, US, have told, he is a role model to be emulated definitely. The Atheist Center, I think I have the book given by him, Unbound by Cages, Jim Herrick, first publication of the Gora, Saraswati Gora International Atheist Research Center, where the very first page, we find a quotation from Guram Joshua, Telugu, of course in English it has been done. Whatever the world may decree, I shall not be bound by the cage of caste and religion, for I am a universal man. I'm very happy to be associated with Gora family since 2005 onwards, when I took over as the Vice Chancellor of Acharya Nagarjuna University. And I have become almost a member of the family of Gora. And I know many friends, Samaram, Rashmi, Kirti, Niyanta, Maru, Hari, Vikas, and now Kranti Prasad, Hasil. I keep on talking to them. Every Sunday we have programs. I think in my success at the Acharya Nagarjuna University, the role of Gora family is also there. I always considered Benj Circle, Bejawada Benj Circle Atheist Center is a unique family in the world, where all members of the family are wedded to the ideals of Gora, unique world family. I'm very happy to be with all of you, share your ideas, practice, in my own way, whatever I can do. We remember Vijayam, we pay our salutations and admiration to him. And what we can do is only to practice whatever he has followed there and whatever is being followed by Gora family today. It's my, I think, fortune and privilege to meet you all. I think please permit me to leave the, this meet at 4:45 since I have another commitment, 3:45 since I have another commitment at 4 o'clock. It's a pleasure meeting, but very sad occasion to remember we lost a good friend. A good friend is always a role model for us. Let us pay our admiration to him. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bal Mohan Das Garu, for joining us as well. The kind of association with the learning circles which Dr. Vijayam had was incredible. The kind of interest he had in the entire education diaspora and ensuring that we build a spirit of inquiry and through education as the only means has always been his area of interest and expertise as well. So thank you very much for your kind words. Now, what I would, as most of us are joining, I would just pause here and share a PowerPoint on the life and journey of Dr. Vijayam. So just most of us know him from different quarters. So our idea was to just capture this whole thing in a capsule and share it to you. Just give me a second, please. Can you see this?
Yes, yes, it is visible. Yes, yes,
Yes, thank
it is
you.
visible.
Thank you. So this captures some of the photographic journey of Dr. Vijayam, specifically right from his learning until his last. So
Vikas,
yes,
Because
please.
keep the full screen.
if
Okay.
you push the view mode, then yes, we see bigger pictures.
Yes. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Excellent.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, this is I think one of the oldest picture of Gora family, where all the 9 brothers and sisters are together with Gora and Saraswati. And some of you have met them, some of you have heard them. So when an opportunity arises, we have right now Samram and Dr. Samram and Dr. Maru are with us. And Niyanta as well. So they're all right now attending this sharing. The wedding happened in Harijanwada, the so-called untouchable location in Vijayawada, wherein with all simplicity and using vegetable garlands. It is still a practice we continue because we strongly believe that unless until food security is ensured around the world, that's the basic right. So to stand up for food security and simplicity, this practice still continues even in our generation. This is some of the other happy movements to celebrate with family and extended family as well. So I have with us here Sahasra and Saujas who are with us. So they are also going to share his messages later. So Gora's joint family, still this is a small number. What you see, a lot more, it doesn't fit into the frame. This is a special occasion on the wedding event of my cousin, Dr. Samram's and Rashmi's daughter, Rajita, and Nageshwar Rao. So we all came together. This is one precious photo that captures most of the people of the family together, all generations. Vijayam has majorly did his education from Andhra University and also University of Delaware in the US in the field of political science. And he was awarded the best PhD in political science, especially on the topic of directive principles of state policy. So his area of interest has always been in constitution and this constitutional sanctity. And most important is the separation of religion and state and ensuring that the constitution upholds that separation, where in most of our European countries, we do still have separation of religion and state very clearly defined. Like in France, you have a 100-plus-year-old law that talks about it, and various other Scandinavian countries still continue to have it. But in India, there's still a long way to go for us. Still, the fundamental rights and fundamental duties very clearly talk about the need to strengthen scientific temper and critical thinking, free inquiry as well. So his interest has always been looking at atheism and humanism to ensure that there is a constitutional protection for people from various standpoints of view, ensuring secular thought and action. So that's been his core area of interest ever since he was young. So these are some images that capture his work internationally, especially on international tours, along with Gora, and also visiting and lecturing in various places, both in the IHU World Congress as well, thanks to the Norwegian Humanist Association. He was in Norway, and then the Oxford University as well. Both of us went together and to share the thoughts and message from Atheist Center. Here, some of these images capture his presence in the Coady International Institute, which is quite well known in the field of development. He's Professor Amit, very close associate, who's been associated with all the generations right until I think Subha Gora. So everybody got to see him and meet him. So Kirti, who is here, is also a Coady graduate, and Hari Subramaniam, all of them. So we all get to study here and graduate and learn different approaches in development. And Vijayam was invited to talk on tribal scenario in India and enhancing what are the issues of their rights and what need to happen further. His core area of interest has always been in Gandhian thought and action. So right from the beginning, his association with the Quakers and the King's School, Martin Luther King School of Social Change, as well as various other Gandhian institutions globally. He was very closely connected with them in the international sphere, as well as Gandhi Peace Foundation in New Delhi, India. And then we have Gandhi Peace Center, Gandhi Smarak Nidhi. So various organizations that have been built on Gandhian lines have been his core area of connect. And right now we have Prasad, Kranti Prasad, who is continuing his association with most of these institutions and people. We also see that his work has been mostly on Black Lives Matter. What we talk right now was brought up then, because Martin Luther King School of Social Change stood for ensuring the equality of people, ensuring that there is a non-violent social change. So bringing in the thought on how do we empower the people who are staying in ghettos, ensure there's dignity in their living and acceptance of their thought has been Vijayam's main area of interest when he went to the United States. He did his master's in political science in the United States, and upon his return to India, he took another master's from Andhra University, and Professor R.V.R. Chandrasekhar Rao Garu, who's joined us, he was his professor. So that's it's good to see we have an intergenerational connect in this call. So we all have come together to celebrate his life. Some of the old pictures that capture, this is the Gandhi's centenary celebrations, collected works of Gandhi that he presented at Chester, Pennsylvania. So most of his international events were about talking about Gandhi, rural development, social development, bringing in global to local kind of a thinking, as well as ensuring that the local thought and process gets global recognition. So these are many speaking engagements. The one below is with Levi Fragel, and this was in Oxford University, where in Cabell College, where the Humanist Congress took place. We get to meet Levi there. So secular social work is the word which Dr. Vijayam coined. So this word had a very strong meaning because religions alone cannot monopolize social work. So it's the secular meaning that anybody can do any work irrespective of the kind of gifts that they expect, assuming that they go to the afterlife kind of a belief. So secular social work is everybody's responsibility. It's a collective ownership. And here we are together. We have to work together, live together, and take care of each other. So secular social work is built on humanist principles, and it is built on bringing people together, irrespective of whatever parochial considerations and their backgrounds are. So the motto is to focus on the marginalized, ensure that there is mainstreaming, empowerment, and everybody gets equal voice. So that is the intent behind the coining of the word secular social work. So most of the activities here are from the social development work that's been carried on by Vasavya Mahila Mandali, Arthik Samta Mandal, Samskar, and Gora Science Center. So these are the social and transformational arms of Atheism Center, majorly aimed at reaching to women, children, differently abled, elderly, so-called criminals, extremist groups, reformation. So there are various activities, right from Jogini, that's the Devdasi, remnant of Devdasi system. So focusing on their empowerment, looking at land rights, investigating the claims of the paranormal. So various aspects that help in bringing comprehensive development among people, as well as change their lives for betterment. So these are some of the activities. We used to run a printing press, trained scores of women, especially bringing dignity in the women victims of torture. Some of them were victims of torture, some of them were widowed or abandoned. So they were given various trainings by Vasav Mahila Mandali and other organizations. And our role was to ensure that to bring back dignity in their lives. So more pictures that capture work. On the extreme left of your screen, you'll see Now and Manorama and Arjun Rao, who are Manorama is the eldest daughter of Gora, and Arjun Rao is right now is a centurion. He has crossed his 100 years, and he's still here and healthy. Both of them are part of the integral part of social reform work, and their marriage was performed by Nehru as a reformation marriage. So all the entire family together are a potential force that has stood up for social cause. And on the right, you see the tsunami rehabilitation program that was supported by the Norwegian Humanist Association and the IHEU, who came together to invest in reaching to scores of villages. Then a lot of work happened to bring in rural development as a key focus. So working with international labor organizations and other organizations to bring in a new ray of hope in the rural arena. So as Gandhiji's constructive programs are majorly aimed at rural reconstruction. The Arthik Samta is the 13th item of Gandhian construction program. It is called, the 13th item is economic equality. And this particular activities were aimed at bringing economic equality and humanitarian assistance as well, disaster management. So there is a lot of relief work were carried on by Samram, Vijayam, and Lavanam, Hemalata, Vereya, Now, and all of them came together. Vidya and the entire family have come together whenever there's a cry for relief. So the disaster relief, as all of you are aware, that India is a theater of natural disasters. So we are always there, reaching out to both human-made as well as natural disasters. When I say human-made, there were many disasters, like caste wars that have happened between two different communities, communal differences. So we got into working with them to bring in harmony, and that is the effort which Vijayam and the entire Gora family have done, and they continue to do. Many of the activities are also to do with intercaste. I mean, there are thousands of intercaste and interreligious marriages have happened so far, and they continue to happen, wherein marriages, especially people in India, we have a special marriage act wherein people can marry with no affiliation to religion or caste. And like the same way you have Hindu marriage, Christian marriage, and Muslim marriage, the Special Marriage Act actually brings people together who wants to think above religious and caste lines. So lots of marriages have been performed, and he has been one of the pillar of strength to promote it as well. And we had a lot of interfaith dialogues, bills bringing into the parliament. Vidya, who was a member of parliament twice, she stood firm on bringing secularism as a key cornerstone for the Indian governance as a bill to be brought up in the parliament, when Vijayam and Vidya had a lot of conversations with the parliamentarians on drafting it. And major part of his life has been on investing in strengthening secular thought and action, rational behaviors, scientific temper, and atheism, humanism as a life stance, wherein there is always mutual respect for each other. There is a dignity and seeing people above the kind of lines that divide them. What divides people majorly is religion. So what unites is when we think above it. So this, a lot of activities, World Atheist conferences were facilitated by him and the entire Gora family. So some of these images capture the pictures from that. The World Atheist conferences were a great occasion wherein we brought people together from various corners of the world, right from Norway to Germany. We have people from Ireland to UK, so everywhere, Australian humanists and rationalists. So various bodies, New Zealanders. So a lot of them came together to discuss and to deliberate and how do we strengthen the secular moorings in the society and the scientific temper, which is actually the cornerstone for the progress in any society. So all these meetings were aimed at that. So recently we had celebrations of the 2018 Congress in the Periyar E.V. Ramaswamy's organization, that is in Tamil Nadu, where Veeramani is the president of DK, and through Veeramani's organization, we had the World Atheist Conference. Then we also had the 80th year of celebrations last year. That was the last event which Vijayam participated, and wherein we had Gary, Executive Director of IHU, representing the humanist fraternity, attending, and you see other humanists from across the world in other congresses here. So from international to national to local, ensuring that there is a very strong, strong connect established as a movement. He was associated with Narendra Naik ji is here with us, FIRA, Federation of Indian Rationalist Association. He was a patron and closely worked in the FIRA movement as well until his last, and majorly celebrating a lot of commemorative days. So he always used to strongly believe, Vijayam always used to believe that, we need to celebrate Darwin days, Ingersoll days, because these are people who actually sowed seeds of rational thought and action. These people cannot be forgotten. The pillars of foundations of secularism, foundation of rational thought, critical inquiry has been sowed by most of these people. So we need to celebrate their life is something which he always stood for. So we continue to, even till today, we continue to celebrate various commemorative days. So you see Darwin's 200th anniversary was celebrated at the Atheist Center, and other atheist friends meet continue to happen to bring people together, majorly virtual right now. So most of the gatherings, some are the Second World Atheist Conference. Lavanam is here. I think that's Fred Edward, who's in that photograph. And visitors from across who are like-minded people, bringing them together was his major focus. Is irrespective, what binds us together is important. So let's look at what are the points of our collaboration. So we will only invest in the points of collaboration, because that way we can slowly expand ourselves into points that divide us. So they get blurred. So getting into points of collaboration, ensure that everybody with like-minded people join us. Here we have Justice Dharmadhikari, Chief Justice from Maharashtra High Court, with people like Abu Abraham, Sir Herman Bondi, and all these people came together. In 2002, the government of India released a commemorative postage stamp on Gora. A lot of effort has gone by Dr. Vijayam in terms of ensuring that it is important that people like Periyar and Gora and other humanist and Westernist stamps come in, so that the work is recognized, and because as a land of it should be a land of equality for everybody. That was his thought, which he stood for. Again, we see some very good well-wishers in Krishna Kant, who was also a governor and vice president of India. Then later on, we had many other people joining us, especially from Gandhi Peace Foundation and other organizations who came together, because the lines of connect were very strong. So especially to strengthen democracy, environmental consciousness, all this were very close to his heart and his way of working. So here we see some more with Levi and Babu Gogneni, who also joined us, who's also joining us today. And the last picture is for the 8 years of Atheist Center. This was a press meet. That was the last image that was taken in terms of a press meet. Later on, there was one in the Congress. So yeah, he always was very keen that we should celebrate 100 years. So glad that he pushed himself, his age, his enthusiasm to make sure we cross 80 years. So that is a big thing to celebrate. Celebrating an organization's 80 years is incredible in any sphere. Some of other initiatives related to anti-superstition work, especially investigating claims of paranormal. Narendra Naik is here. He has committed his life for this, and various Gora Science Center initiatives. We have been celebrating close to 6 decades of work in Gora Science Center has been happening. Niyanta, who heads, is the director of Science Center, is here, and so various activities on disaster response, environmental awareness, and pollution, anti-pollution, various topics that impact youth of today and tomorrow are taken up, and that's been his core area of interest. He was also the first Indian to go to address the pre-Rio de Janeiro conference in Paris, an NGO convention, to bring people together to discuss the role of civil society in strengthening environmental consciousness. So more on this similar kind of work, environmental education, especially strengthening the spirit of volunteerism in environmental protection. That's been his area of interest always. Yeah, both mom and dad, they always stood for promoting scientific temper, especially in Atheist Center. Viewing of an eclipse is a celebration. So because it's a rare occurrence and it requires to be celebrated rather than to be run away from. So all the family members come together. We eat it outside. We talk about it. Where as many people do, general community who are superstitious, they stay indoors. But majorly, this anti-superstitious drives happen regularly, and this is one picture of both of them together. The Center for Science in Villages work has happened for quite a long time, especially with Vijay. Bharat Jnana Vigyan Jata, specifically bringing science into villages as a campaign. So here you see Vidya, Rashmi, Samram, Niyanta, and all of them participating in this campaign in hundreds of villages for a period of time. For any movement, he always believed that it's important to invest in building bridges of friendship. So here we have H. Narasimha, who is a very well-known astrophysicist, and also was also a very the father of Karnataka Karnataka movement when it comes to the rationalist thought and action there, anti-superstition movement. And we had with the Gandhi Peace Foundation, with the Radha Krishnanji, a lot of work has happened in rural reconstruction training, especially integrated rural development among younger generation, so that they start civil society. So this was like the incubation center for civil society movement. Various government officials like Kumud Ben Joshi here, governors visited us. They saw what binds us together, the commonalities were celebrated. And we had people like Sir Herman Bondi, Master of Churchill College, who also visited us many number of times. Here you see some more governors, a lot of work in Stuartpuram, criminal reformation. We have AP constructive workers conferences. So most of these conferences brought people together so that there's an intellectual discussion or sourcing from practical actions. So that was his always, he used to say that whatever intellectual debate we have should have the evidence of practical relevance, and it should have already been tested in the field before you come onto the stage, and vice versa as well. And that is his thought process. Here you see more images of people from Gandhian background, Sarvodaya movement, and Save the Children and other organizations. So we did have visitors. Krishna Kanchi was, and then we had George Fernandez, Bala Yogi, Speaker of Indian Parliament. Krishna Kant was Vice President of India. And as you know, George Fernandez is the Defense Minister of India. So they shared a lot of commonality of thought as well. So that brought them together. If I am right, this is Lars Gule. Lars, that's you. And then other HAMU members, Levi and colleagues who supported Vasav Mahila Mandali. And we had other American atheists and humanists who joined us, and Rangarajan and all of them, who is the Indian, the Reserve Bank of India governor as well. So more pictures. Yesterday we lost Sundarlal Bahuguna, who was a very well-known environmentalist, leader of the Chipko movement. So this is in recognition of his loss as well. Princess Anne visited us. So this is Viraya and Vijayam welcoming her, and Ramakrishna from Arctic Samta Mandal. So she was the chief patron of Save the Children. And of course, the relationship between Periyar group, TK and Veeramani and Dr. Vijayam are inseparable brothers as well, both in thought and action. So this is as a mark of their friendship. That's a snapshot of his life in a capsule wanted to bring together. And thank you very much for your patient listening. I request if we can have Rajgopalji to kindly share his thoughts. Rajgopalji is the leader of Ekta Parishad, very closely associated with the Gandhian movement and Gandhi Peace Foundation as well. Rajgopalji, are you there? think, yes, Rajgopal. Okay. By the time he comes back, request Kumar Kalanandamani ji. If you can kindly share your message. I see you here, but it's still on mute, please.
Good afternoon. Respected Dr. Samaran Garu, family members of the great Gora family, and the rationalists from world over. It's really a great occasion to be with you all this afternoon to remember our elder brother, our teacher, our guide, our colleague, Dr. Vijayam Garu, who left us a year before. Yeah, 365 days have passed so fast. Also because for last 365 days, all of us are passing through a very critical era, that is COVID-19, where the survival of each humankind has become very crucial. Dr. Vikas Gora was just showing the whole history of life journey or work journey or ideological journey of Dr. Vijayam Gora. It was very fascinating, looking through the lenses of the past. And I was just thinking that how difficult it is to live with one ideology like atheism, that too for more than 9 decades, which is very difficult. Professor Gora was invited by none other than Mahatma Gandhi to his ashram in Sevagram in, I think it was late 30s or early 40s. I'm missing the year. Samaram Garu can correct or give correct information. And Gandhiji wanted to test that whether only Professor Gora is following atheism, or his family also believe in that, or whether Professor Gora has imposed his belief, his ideology on his family. And today what we see that even after 8 decades of such examination taken by Mahatma Gandhi, the school of atheism is taken forward by the 4th generation of Professor Gora, and even the 5th generation or 6th generation is ready to take it further. This ensure the richness of their devotional work in the field of inculcating the difficult task, that is the scientific temple. My association with Dr. Vijayam Garu lasted for more than 3 decades. And Vikas was showing some of the slides where we were associated in Gandhi Peace Center since early 80s. And in Gandhi Peace Center, it was not a very typical ashram type functioning of the Gandhian followers. It was all searching the path of rural reconstruction at one side and developing scientific way of looking about the future society on the other side. And that second part was led by Vijayam Garu, Viraya Garu, and the whole fraternity of Atheist Center. And it is really very energizing and assuring that still this thought of looking the world beyond the notional belief of God is possible, and Gora family is making it possible. Thank you very much for bringing us together to pay our respect to Vijayam Garu, and also to recollect, remember, revisit the ideology of atheism. Jai Insan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kalananji. In spite of the kind of cyclonic condition there, we were worried whether we could get connected or not. So glad that you could connect and share your thoughts. Please be safe. I request Narendra Naikji to please come next. Narendra ji.
Yes. All my rationalist friends, all members of the Gora family. Is my voice clear? I would like to speak about my association with my elder brother.
Narendra, if you can put the mic a little closer. I think it's a little thing, please. Mild disturbance.
I always used to address Premanand as my ideological father. And similarly, in the same way, I can say Dr. Vijayam was like our elder brother. He was the patron of FIRA. And as a patron of FIRA, he had to manage all of us. And he was always ever supportive, caring, admonishing, affectionate, and strict sometimes too. And that is all his wonderful human qualities. Whenever I came to Vijayawada, straight from the railway station, I would come to the Atheist Center and sit at the table right at the entrance. And then immediate question will be about the next meal. Dr. Vijayam will come out and he'll ask whether it's lunch or dinner or breakfast. And then he'll say, have it. So that's the way he used to treat us from nearly 3 decades, I should say. And whenever a World Atheist Conference was there, I would attend with a rider. All of us would attend. The whole FIRA executive committee would attend with a rider to Dr. Vijayam. You have to give us time for our executive committee meeting. And for every World Atheist Conference, Dr. Vijayam has made it a point to give us a slot for our executive committee meeting. We came to Mangalore only once, I feel. That was for our FIRA general body at Mangalore, and that time he enjoyed Mangalore. We took him around, and then the last time I met him was in April 2019 when I had come to attend a marriage. Why I'm saying April 2019 is that the last time I came to Atheist Center was in 2020 January. And at that time, Dr. Vijayam was not in a good state of health. In 2019 April, when I came to meet him, the hospitality he showed, the affection he showed, I will remember always our last meeting. Besides, when he said we were going to a marriage, he gave presents for the bride and bridegroom. Said, this is from the Atheist Center. And the same bride and bridegroom visited Atheist Center in January 2020, but they could just see Dr. Vijayam. In losing Dr. Vijayam, we have lost an elder brother. Physically, he is no longer with us. But the ideology he stood for, the example which he showed through his word, deeds, is something for us to follow forever. We have lost our patron. Veera, we have two patrons, Mr. Kalanathan and Dr. Vijayam. Now Dr. Vijayam is no more. Before that, B. Premanand was our patron. But the spirit which he showed to us will always be with us. The way he addressed us, the way he handled us is something which we will never, never forget. He was, to me, a really elder brother, admonishing sometimes, encouraging many times, but always he was there for me. That was the thing. Once I remember when I gave a reply to an email at 4 a.m. When he replied to that the next day morning, he said, "What were you doing at 4 a.m. reading your mails and writing replies? You should get proper sleep." That was the way he was. And true elder brother. I assure you, Dr. Vijayam, Vijayanna, as I should say, we shall follow the true path that you have set for us. And we shall always, always remember you. Jai Vigyan, Jai Insa. So thank you very much for this opportunity, Vikas, and all of you for giving me this opportunity to express myself about a person who was so close to my heart. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Narenji. I know the kind of relationship and continued conversations both of you had in building the movement of ensuring that the rational thought and action happens on ground, and building organizations that can take, especially FIRA, as an incredible movement, more than a network, an incredible movement to continue that, we protect the younger generation from being exploited by from superstitious practices and all that. So I think you had an incredible role all the way through, and wish that you continue the great work. Thank you very much. So I request right now if Sunja Egrets, have you joined, Sunja? I think Sonia is still on her way. I would request NM Prusti, if he can join. NM Prusti.
Hello, Vikas.
Yes, sir.
I don't think my video is working. I don't know. It's not connected. If you can help. Anyway, many thanks, Vikas, for inviting me to join this event. And today I'm able to see the people from the Gora family, incredible Gora family, and illustrious people from all over the world gathering here to pay respect to our dear Dr. Vijay. To be very brief, from the childhood I have been reading, following the lives of many great people, and few of them, those are named today, are besides Gandhi, the Periyar and the Goras. I never thought that I'll get an opportunity to get closely associated with the family members or the of the famous Gora family. As a young man, I heard Dr. Vijayam a couple of times. Sometime in Bhubaneswar, in Odisha, in some of his conference, and in Gandhi Peace Foundation. And I always used to feel energized by his very simple way of talking and explaining things. And the luck had it so that in the turn of the century, in the beginning of the 2000, I happened to get an opportunity to meet Dr. Vijayam and Vikas together in Hyderabad. and then we talked, and there was a natural bonding, because there was the past, the desire to meet someone from Gora family was so prominent that the moment I got the chance to meet Dr. Vijayam and then his son Vikas, it was a kind of a very providential meet, or something very very God's gift kind of thing that happened. And we traveled together. We went to Vijayawada. I saw his work and all that. That was the beginning of our relationship, and then that got built over a period of time, over the last 3 decades. We have been together, and I have a tremendous respect for Dr. Vijayam and his wife. And in fact, today, even till today, Dr. Vijayam and Sumati, they appear in my prayer thrice a day for my, that I say that their soul rest in peace, and the kind of things that they have shown to me personally, the kind of influence that they have created in me. When they talk about the principle of classless, casteless, and faith neutral, caste neutral, class neutral community, and that is the basis for bringing social reform and social change. And then he was so particular about the use of science and technology, and bringing this society and the technology together. And then he also taught us what is humanist and what is humanitarian. And when I started working in the humanitarian sector, I found the great linkage that Professor Dr. Vijayam used to talk, and I admire, I pay my respect, and I hold him at high esteem for that kind of a conceptual thinking he created in my mind, and on which I built my work in the humanitarian sector for the next several decades. So it is a privilege today that I'm here to be with the Gora family and the eminent people who know him, who have worked with him, who have met him, and who have traveled together in the journey of life to promote a faith neutral, class neutral, and caste neutral society. Thank you, Vikas, once again for inviting me to be here.
Thank you very much, Prasiji. I think the kind of humanitarian connect both of you had in terms of working in the field of disaster management, and especially in creating that humanitarian work in India is incredible. We really appreciate your great work you're doing through SPEAR and other humanitarian space, both at the government and international level. I think that is something which brought both of you together. And at the same time, we wish you all the best as well. Now, I request if RVR Chandrasekhar Rao Garu can share his thoughts. I know then we will get others. RVR Chandrasekhar Rao is Professor RVR Chandrasekhar Rao is the professor of Dr. Vijayam, and so it'll be good to hear from him as well, please.
Well, difficult to speak about Vijayam. Our connection is 70 years. And I knew him before I knew my wife. He was my student in MA, my PhD student, my doctorate man, and he won the prize for me, the Raghupati Venkatatmam Naidu Medal for the best thesis on directive principles of state policy. I'm so proud. Apart from that, he was a member of the family, peculiar, an atheist with a theist family, and it was a glorious time. And to lose a student is indeed very sad. But they used to say the students represent the teacher. Now the teacher represents the student. I continue the tradition which I endowed on Vijayam, and that family has been, if there is a Bharat it is the Gora family. Yes. They never shone that way. They were ordinary stones, but useful. There were no diamonds. They never cut anybody. They built people. As stones build bridges, Atheist Center built people. I may differ with them on many grounds, but it's a glorious institution. Independent India survives because of Atheist Center. I'm so glad to be associated. And may the family, I know the family, whole family, so many times, very difficult. I'm a member of the family. Thank you very much. Thank you all. And I have Vijayam in London, in America also, for 6 months in Delaware, University of Delaware. I went there when he was doing his MA there. And this is before he did his PhD with me. And for the Raghupati Venkatrathan Naidu medal, his thesis was selected. It's my pride. But his work, thank you very much for the opportunity. My entire family, my wife, my children, Prasad, Murthy, Uday, all of them were guests at this center at one time or the other. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Chandrasekhar, for patient listening so far, and also taking the journey back to close to 60 to 70 years. So that is something which is incredible. And I mean, you have been a great source of inspiration for him. He always used to talk about the kind of learning that he gained from you. And as a Gora family, our relationship with you and your entire family has been more again in intergenerational, and we look forward to continue that. Glad to see you hale and healthy. So I hope you reach your 100 very quickly. Thank you very much. And now I request Sonja from, she was the past president of IHEU and right now speaking from Belgium.
Yes, I hope you can hear me now. First of all, I thank you for the invitation, and I do have to apologize. I was at another meeting and I was listening there, and so I simply forgot to join this. It's not so many times that I have 2 meetings on Zoom on a Saturday morning, but for me, morning. When I met Dr. Vijayam, and that is, I think, a very good picture of him, it was when I arrived in India for my first time. And I was, due to plane problems, I was one day late. And so Babu, or I say, put me on the train to Vijayawada. And there I arrived, not knowing anyone, of course, and just Babu, and he stayed in Hyderabad. And at the station, as soon as I went out the train, Dr. Vijayam came to me and said, "Hello, you're welcome," took my, well, what was left from my luggage, and said, "I'll bring you to the hotel, don't worry." And he went through, I don't know, thousands of people, although it was dark night. I felt good. And that is very typical. It was, I met not only a humanist from organization, I really met a real human being. And that was very important. He brought me to the hotel, and the day after he looked for me, and he came to hold me and said, "Well, we're going to the Atheist Center, and there you will have clothes," because my luggage was somewhere between Belgium and India. And I felt so comfortable because of the fact that someone was taking care of me. So that was my first way of meeting him. And I really will never forget that humanist that he was. When I saw afterwards the work, the center, and they gave me all the explanation, and I was so impressed. I couldn't say a word. Really, we have, or I had the impression here that India is just, well, people, Hindu people and Muslim people and very religious people. And there I was and saw that Indians were rationalists, and very, very rationalist and very rational as well. So I have the most marvelous remembering. And then every time when I saw Dr. Vijayam, whether it was in Vijayawada or whether it was on a congress of HAYU, then HAYU, it was a pleasure, because there he was, always kind, not artificial, he was real. And that is my best, that are my best ideas of what he did. And I was so, it was so, it made it so clear for me that the people in India, the rationalists, the humanists in India, are really doing a lot of work there. And well, nowadays it's terrible what I see at my television post about the COVID and so. And I think there is such a lot of work to do, but they never gave up. And that is very important. And please never give up the work of Dr. Vijayam and his wife, his respected wife. Please do continue it. I know that you do, Vikas, but never give up. That's all I want to say now. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sunja. I think, yeah, the message is loud and clear. We have a generational connect again for the cause we are all standing for, and it will continue. And at the same time, we look forward for everybody's support from across to make things happen, so that we powerfully invest in the new generation, both across the world, and so that you create more tolerance, bring more thought. I think pandemic in certain ways, interestingly, has helped a lot the atheist and humanist movement. It questions the very foundation of quackery. It questions whether prayer works. It questions whether any belief really works. A microscopic, invisible virus has literally changed the face of thought process of people. They're questioning it. And that kind of a spirit of inquiry can be invested more, so that there is more thought process across. And we look forward for continued support from humanist and rationalist associations across the world. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Now, I request Babu Gogineni to start, and then we'll have Junior Babu to follow. Babu, you're on mute, please.
Vikas, can you hear me now? I am with you to remember the great life and the wonderful contributions, the inspiring life of your parents, but also of your entire family, which has kept the flag of rational, reasoned, reasonable, simple humanist living in a country and a society where there is hardly any welcome or hardly any room for this kind of living. I first met Vijayam Garu when, I should not say met, I saw him along with Lavanang Garu and Vidya Garu when I was probably 6 or 7 years old, when my late uncle, Vegunta Mohan Prasad Garu, brought me to a meeting at Nastika Kendra. In that entire family, I was the only Nastik at that time, 6 or 7 years of age. And he thought, my uncle, that I should be introduced to the Atheist Center. I think I next met both you for the first time, Vikas, and Vijayam Garu, about 10 years later at the Bombay Humanist Conference, at the international conference. And then it was my privilege to meet Samarang Garu and later Niyanta Garu as well when I came to the Atheist Center. I remember meeting Vijayam Garu in Amsterdam and later in Mexico, internationally, I mean. In Mexico, I was appointed the executive director of the IHU, and Vijayam Garu and I, after the conference, had a room to stay in for 2 more nights. And there was only one bed. So I slept on the floor, and Vijayam Garu was very concerned that the director of IHU was sleeping on the floor. And I told him that the son of Gora Garu cannot sleep on the floor. And that solved the dilemma for both of us. It has been a most affectionate connection that I have had with Dr. Vijayam Garu. He welcomed the Time magazine journalists that I brought to the Atheist Center because they were doing a story for the South China Morning Post for Norwegian Airlines and Time magazine. So I brought them, and he and I took them around also to Srikakulam. We passed by a temple where I did a mock prayer for the journalists. And there was a lamp they brought to me, and I was supposed to keep my hands in reverence on it, just for fun. And there was this steady, firm hand on my shoulder. That was Dr. Vijayam Garu. He said, Babu, don't do it, because this picture will be used against you sometime later. Don't do it. It was a very different Dr. Vijayam Garu to the one I knew, soft, gentle, and giving advice. Here he was instructing me not to be silly. I was 27 or 28. I was director of the IHU, and he said this could be used against you. He was, while being friendly, while being gentle, also taking care of those around him. And then we have been in touch regularly, visited us in Hyderabad. When my mother died fairly early in her life, he came to visit us. We've had interaction with Sumati Garu. And it has been a privilege and an honor to be connected with the entire family. Dr. Vijayam Garu, as the intellectual of the family, who would articulate theory better than many professors that came to the conferences, was a guiding light for the direction in which secular thinking should go. We were in Palanpur, we were in Ahmedabad, we were in Delhi, Amsterdam, London, New York, Washington, D.C., Mexico City, and in Paris. All through, he was a gentle senior friend who wore his learning very lightly. And there were deep discussions we had when you had all announced the Atheist University to be launched from Vijayawada, the Atheist Center. He showed me the archives, and I realized what others in India had not done, that you had all created an institution for the people of non-belief in religion. The non-religious had an institution, an institute, a home, and a destination to carry on the work of Goragaru, to carry on the work of Lavanangaru, and to give it a steady image is a phenomenal contribution in the history of free thought in our country. He honored me by inviting me to be part of your family's personal events as well. I came once to Vijayawada to be a witness at a ceremony, at his invitation. I came many times to the conferences in Vijayawada, and the last 2 times I came with my son. And Vijayangaru did not allow me to speak at the last atheist conference, but he let Arun speak for 10 minutes, my son, at the plenary. He was saying time to bring the younger lot. He wanted him to go perform on the stage. He called the journalists to cover the story, which was eventually covered in the Hindu. So there was this gentle, wise understanding of how to encourage and support others. For a movement, this is very important. And he did that. He did that in Chirala when he came to the training programs of the humanist group. And I thought, while we recall his phenomenal contributions, we must at the same time acknowledge the tall presence of Samarangaru for whoever is looking for direction and continued symbolism for the strength of the humanist movement. We need solid people, personalities that are recognized by everyone, standing for humanism, and that has best been done in the Telugu states by all the brothers and sisters of the Atheist Center. But I want also, as I requested you, Vikas, to get Arun to say what he would like to acknowledge his affection for Vijayam Tatagaru, as he said. Arun recently has been deep into the saxophone, and he said he would play an elegy. Arun.
So this elegy, this piece is called Goodbye Port Hat, which was written by Charles Mingus as an elegy for the fallen Lester Young. I chose to play this piece along with some of my own embellishments to express my deep gratitude for Vijayam Tatagaru and him giving me my first platform to ever speak. I was only 7 or 8 years old when I first addressed an audience and spoke. 7. And that was when I first addressed a big audience. And at the time, I couldn't see how much of a big thing that was. So this elegy, this is for Vijayam Tatagaru, expressing my gratitude for him, and as well as my my appreciation for it. I hope you enjoy.
So Vikas,
Thanks a lot. I think it's nice to see him after a long time. And also being a musician, that tribute is, I know the song and really appreciate that being played.
wonderful Vikas, and a great opportunity for us to see Dr. Volker Müller and Tanisha Sahu Saab, as well as, of course, for Arun, Sonia, Mama. So it's great. It is a delight for me to see all the other family members. My greetings, particularly to Dr. Samarangaru. Thank you for keeping us rooted, because now the tall people are disappearing from the field. So we need some people who can stand for the great ideals of humanism, or as you call it, positive atheism. And we need to be even more active than we have been. And for that, you set the direction for the other generations. Thank you very much. We have been in a particularly difficult schedule today, so you will excuse us if we were not there throughout the meeting, but that's not for lack of affection or respect for Dr. Vijayam Garu, who for a long time we considered a family member. He was in touch with my father. They were frequently on the phone talking to each other. And I, of course, was very much attached to him. If I did not call in the last days when Vikas told me that he was not well, it is because he said he was showing symptoms of Alzheimer's, and I did not want to speak to him and stress him about memories of us being together. And I wanted sharper memories of a brighter mind than one which was failing with age and illness. That is the only reason I was asking Vikas how he was doing rather than stressing. So I hold very warm, positive memories of Vijayam Garu. Someone always in a hurry, sometimes hurrying others as well, but all to move our common objectives forward. Thank you very much for the opportunity to think back with some appreciation of his life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Babu. And thanks for the younger generation to be introduced as well. It's nice to see him. We will get his video speaking. That is something which is pending from here. So you will get it soon. So thank you very much for joining, Babu. Before I call upon somebody, I just thought let's get one of our younger generation also to speak, because he started with music. We'll get some thoughts to be shared. Some of the quotes of Dr. Vijayam, we just wanted our three young kids who have also joined us, Saujas, Sahasra, and Sahas, who are with us, to just read out some of the quotes as to how this intellectual mind worked. So I pass it on to Sahasra. So you can hear us?
Hello everyone, I'm Sastra Gora. I'm the granddaughter of Dr. Vijayam. Vijayam's quotes on Gandhi, peace and non-violence. The culture of peace and non-violence is not passive or submissive in its nature. It is full of creative and innovation in its march to freedom, equality, and justice. Let us strive for these goals in the national and international affairs and for opposing oppression, injustice, and inequality. Gandhi's concepts on non-violence was all pervasive, comprehensive, and dynamic. It is human and civil. It increases the prestige of an individual and respectability of the society. Non-violence is a vision. It is an action. It is an achievement. If we desire for it, let us make it feasible. Violence can be thrust on others, but non-violence is a choice. Vijayam's quote on God and religion. When the idea of God is relegated into the background and human being became important, there is a progress in the modern world. We have come a long way in the modern world. All-round progress and sustainable development is possible only when human being becomes the primary concern. Human life and its problems must gain precedence over others. Believers in traditional religion necessarily look to the past for inspiration rather than to the future. They seek wisdom in the teachings of religious texts, which are quite inadequate for many social issues of modern life. We need morality of initiative, not a morality of submission. The morality of hope rather than fear. It is not the whole duty of man to slip through the world so as to escape the so-called wrath of God. The world is our world. We are the makers of our systems. The power of thought is greater and powerful than any other human power. Hence, people should feel free and masters of their own lives. It is pity that most people go through life without much questioning.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Now I request Sahas.
Yeah. Quotes of Dr. Vijayam, alternate way of life. The term humanism, rationalism, atheism, skepticism denote a non-religious way of life. For historical reasons, in different countries, various terms were in vogue, but all of them, more or less, convey the same meaning. In India, atheism is more popular as an alternative to religious viewpoint and a way of life. It is the spirit of questioning and turning the attention of the people from the imaginary other world to the realities and problems of this world. On education, education enables a vertical mobility. It brings a sea change in the outlook of the people. It would broaden the mental horizon of the people. On youth, youth are harbingers of change. They play a vital role. Their critical thinking and awareness must lead to action. Thought and action are inseparable. Endowed with the knowledge of the past, they should build a bright future for themselves with effective and positive action in the present. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Sahas. Request Saujas. Saujas, you're on mute.
No, he's unmuted.
Okay, you can come over here, maybe into this room, so that you can speak from here, please. Thank you.
Yes. Good afternoon to one and all. I am Dr. G. Vijayam's grandson. It is high time that it should be realized that mere acceptance of science and enjoying the fruits of science is not enough. The scientific outlook must be adopted. In fact, scientific outlook is the very basis of science. Free inquiry and unconventional thinking, as well as innovation, are the basis of development of science. Restrictions on development of science in the name of religion inhibit its free development. The Indian Constitution makes it an important obligation in the fundamental duties. Article 51A of the Constitution makes it a fundamental duty of every citizen of India to develop scientific temper, humanism, and the spirit of inquiry and reform. This obligation makes the Constitution a unique one in the world. Our effort should be to make the obligation a reality in letter and spirit. It is a matter of regret that in spite of tremendous scientific advancements and ample opportunities available to develop on scientific lines with rationalist outlook, our policymakers are misguiding the people and turning their attention to imaginary issues which have no relevance to the onward of society. Scientific outlook is the very basis of science. Science will not accept anything without evidence and accepts only after critical examination, observation, verification, experimentation, and proof are needed for science. Science is based on facts. Fiction or imagination does not carry science. Science is in the search of truth. It makes a clear distinction between fact and fiction and fact and option. Science judges everything on the touchstone of realism. Science is unconventional in its thinking. In science, there are no eternal truths. It is ever ready for experimentation, verification, and proof. That's why it encourages questioning spirit and encourages the search for truth. Thus, science is fresh in its thinking and adapts to the new facts. Science is not old, is not gold. New is welcome. It is ever receptive to the new ideas and approaches. The scientific method is the essence of science and technology. It's like a perennial river, fresh, energetic, and full of vigor and youthfulness. Science will not accept superstitions beliefs. When we apply scientific outlook to social relations, revolutionary changes will take place. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In fact, that's to bring more youthfulness into the conversation. So thanks to Sahasra, Sahas, and Saujas. Now, I request Dr. K. Veeramani to share his thoughts. It's on mute, Veeramani ji, it's on mute.
Our dear Thiru Samaram Garu and our young and energetic hope of our future and present comrade Vikas Gora Garu and all the distinguished participants of this great occasion, memorable occasion. Vanakkam to everybody. Good evening and namaste. It is with heavy heart that we all share the memories and great achievements in our dear brother who has parted us on the same day 1 year back, Dr. Vijayam Garu. Dr. Vijayam, as an executive director of Atheist Gora Center, has created history by continuing the mission started by Gora Garu, Amma Saraswati Garu, and Lavanam Garu. He continued against many odds. And you know, Dr. Vijayam's name is a very popular name among our Dravida Kalagam comrades, because whenever and wherever we convene rationalist conferences, atheist conferences, and our movements conferences, definitely he will not miss it, and we won't keep without inviting him. He took immense pleasure in participating in all our conferences. And whenever I just telephone him, the next day he will be at Chennai, Madras, and he will be with us. He was a great co-fighter, because in this country, even though this is very large and largely populated, and one of the greatest democracies, still we are in a very bad in search of our scientific mentality. But only hope is just our young kids, our tiny thoughts just now carried further the torch that was lit by our Gora Garu. This is one of the important that Dr. Vijayam Garu, Dr. Gora Garu lives through their achievements. It is not human personalities. but human values that we cherish. And also we stand for our ideology. That ideology, the torch is being passed on to our youngest generation. And it creates a good hope, and future is within hours. You know, today, due to Corona, everywhere we are just threatened, and the life is a question mark. But still in this country, this is an occasion where positive atheism will have to play a very mighty role. Humanism alone will deliver the goods out of this chilla and cherry bits. We will have to come out, because people still in this country, those who are in power, that is very unfortunate and unheard of, that they are still promoting the obscurantism. That is why the value of the work that was being done by the Gora Center, by the Dravida Kalagam, by the rationalist forums of the country is still more valued and more needed at this cross juncture. Because what we face today is very, very, very pathetic scene. Of course, people are suffering due to this infectious, incurable, and at the same time we are giving a very heavy price for that. But still science has played its own role. But for this completely immunity, we cannot put an end to this corona. But still what is happening, you know, it is very unfortunate. Even the members of the parliament, they say, if you drink the urine of the cow, it will cure it. And another say, no, you just, astrologer comes and tells, you just change the spelling of the word corona, then you write it, then a corona will automatically go away. All this. So all the more, the work of the Gora Center and the philosophy of positive atheism and humanism is much more needed at this juncture. Because whenever, as our young tiny thoughts have very rightly pointed out, what we lack is scientific spirit and scientific temper and scientific outlook. More or less we study science, but we never apply it to our life. That is what we were carrying on. That was the mission of Dr. Vijayam Garu. That was the mission and the goal of our atheist society, as well as Dravida Kalagam. And Periyar, our mentor, used to tell, forget God and think of humanity, humans. And what is now? Already it is a scientific axiomatic truth. People are not going and praying and thereby creating. They are just seeking the refuge only in science. Only the science is the remedy for the answer for all these things. You take all these vaccines, but for these vaccines, but for this mask, but for our all curing other things, nothing will come and save the rest of our population. Very clearly says. So whether they directly subscribe to our view or not, that is a different. We have won many battles, but still we will have to win a great war. And when we are waging the war, we have lost our lieutenant people, able and inspiring Lieutenant Dr. Vijayam Garu. But we can't help it. We cannot lament over that. We cannot be silenced by that. We will have to carry on the work with the double vigor. And that is the message that we will have to take from his parting away. And he lived up to his capacity. And he gave message. And he was not idle. Till he breathed his last, he was an atheist. He was a humanist. And he wanted the world to be conquered by the ideas of humanism. That is his motive. So we will have to, if at all, if you want to pay tribute to our Vijayam Garu, It is not a ritual. It is not a formality. The one thing, that determination, we will have to take a vow, and we will have to go to a large extent and carry the mission that was continued. And we are very, very happy that the youngest generation have now taken up the torch. And the banyan tree, has derives its strength more than from its roots, than from the branches. And our young branches, now we are able to see, and it instills a good hope in our minds. That is the one thing. That is all due to the untiring effort of Dr. Vijayam Garu, late lamented Dr. Lavanam Garu, and also the great Goras. So it is time for us to revive our movement, to take up to every nook and corner of the country. In spite of all these things, science is with us. It is a powerful weapon. So we will have to use this. You see here, we are not coming to Vijayawada, but still the world has come to us due to the scientific outlook and scientific achievement. I am able to see you after a very long time. And I wish that we must take up the challenge now. And we will have to go and seek further the development and the growth of rationalism, atheism, scientific outlook, and humanism. And when there is a discrimination, automatically we are against it, whatever the form of it, and whether it is caste, whether it is religion. Religion divides the people, caste divides the people, gods divides the people, but it is humanism that unites us all together, and it is our mission. And the mission that was created, the torch that was handed over from Vijayam Garu to our young tiny torch and to us is, we will have to carry the message still a very long way. And it is time for us to probe what all we have done. And let us all turn back and see there are yet more than the road is less traveled. We will have to travel in a road less traveled by other people who are just afraid of coming to this side, because ours is for truth and truth alone. Atheism is nothing but speaking the truth. Humanism is nothing but humanize the whole human beings. That is what we are carrying on. So, this first anniversary, let's all paying the glory, memorable aspects, and the mission that he carried by Dr. Vijayam Garu. It is our bounden duty to continue the work and the mission and see that the world is completely transformed, and thereby the science is a great innovation, and it will be with our help. And our younger generation, I am happy, has taken up that work through our Vikas, people like Vikas, and still the another generation. So it is a great hope, and they hope against hope. That is important. And there are many miles to go. We do agree, but we will be very successful in carrying the mission. So let us all think of Dr. Vijayam, and let us all convert as Goras and Vijayam Garu's mission, and we will be successful. And let us fight for our rights. Let us stand for secularism. Let us stand for protecting democracy. Let us stand for specializing and protecting positive atheism, which is nothing but humanism. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Veermani Garu. I think that's, as always, very powerful. And you speak from the kind of relationship you have built with Dr. Vijayam, as well as right from the Goras days. So really appreciate those kind words. And There's a long way to go. Still, one step ahead is always a one step ahead. So I think
Exactly.
that is what we are all investing, is making people move an inch. I think that's a very good beginning to start with, and glad that right from the DK as well as other organizations who are representing here, Restless and the Humanist Forums, everybody are investing in making that change. Is just in that mindset, tweak the change of the young minds, invest in that, so that they become the future rational citizens. I think really appreciate the great work you are doing. And I think the World Atheist conferences that were conducted under your leadership there were like incredibly well organized, and we brought people together, like-minded people together. We need more such kind of partnerships, and we look forward for continued relationship with you and the generation ahead as well. Thank you very much, Veermaniji.
It's very kind of you.
Thank you very much. Now I request if Rajgopalji is here. Rajgopalji from Ekta Parshad. Are you here? So I request if Kasturi Ranjanji can speak. Yours is on mute, please. Can you unmute yourself? I can unmute you. Can you unmute? Yeah.
Yes, I am muted. Hello. I mean, 17th or 60, after 65, 1965, I came to your Patamata, Vijayawada Patamata, to meet Mr. Gora. I was very happy to see your residence, and I had a very good opinion about this Gora's ideology. So I thank you very much for having asked me to participate in your program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kasturi. I request Daneshwar Sahuji to share his message.
Because am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Esteemed friends and all members of the Gora family, esteemed and respected Viramaniji and others. At the outset, I express my respectful homage to Dr. Vijayam ji, and on the occasion of his past death anniversary. My contact and acquaintance with him go back to 4 decades. I came to attend the second World Atheist Conference in the year 1980, and from that day till his last, I was well acquainted with him. He was like an elder brother. He has always inspired me in many spheres. We have met on many occasions, and also we have shared at a different places. At intervals, he telephones me, and we have a long conversation starting from our personal matter to different social issues. Now, I met him for the last time in 20 January at the time of 10th World Atheist Conference, but he was not in a good state of health at that time, and I was very shocked to know that he is forgetting things and has developed Alzheimer. Before that, he had invited me to deliver Gora Memorial Lecture at the Atheist Center. Once he had also invited me to deliver Saraswati Gora Memorial Lecture. Further, he wanted to honor me with Gora Saraswati Gora International Atheist Research Center Fellowship. All these things are in my mind, and when I think of his passing away, it gives me great sorrow, because he was a man of conviction, commitment, with the subtle values of life. We all know he inherited a legacy and an ideology from his great parents, and after Gora's death, Labanamji and Vijayamji carried forward the ideals and the ideology of Gora and Saraswati Gora. We know he was a great reformer, social reformer, and at the same time, I find him to be a social revolutionary. He was a social revolutionary because he fought against many an evil of the society. Not only he was dedicated to social work, but at the same time wanted to bring a qualitative change in the social scenario. His intellectual acumen was really commendable. I have read his articles from the Atheist and from other sources, and sometimes I ring him and we have deliberations, discussions in the telephone. And I request because to collect all his writings and to publish it in a book form so that others will get opportunity to read all his ideas. He, as well as Labanamji, very often speak of a concept of marching of human civilization, marching of human society to a post-religious social order. On this issue, I have discussed with him a number of times what is his concept of a post-religious society. And he tells that it is religion that has given rise to communalism, fundamentalism, fanaticism, and even obscurantism. Against all these evils, we have not only to accept secularism, we have to still go ahead and establish a society that will be founded on humanism, social justice, human dignity, and all the values of life. His version is religion to a large extent has dehumanized society. If we have to rehumanize society, we have to take the ideals of secularism and post-religious society. He was a great advocate of scientific temper, which is the fundamental ideal of atheism. Atheism is not only an intellectual concept, a philosophical concept, it has many practical implications as told by Gora and translated it by Vijayamji. So his life was a life of dedication, commitment, conviction, and he was a fine human being. I find some subtle human values with him, and whenever we discuss or whenever he rings me, first he asks me, how is your family? How are your children? And in this way, I find him to be a man of noble disposition and also a man of caring and sharing. Now he is no more, but his ideals, and the values he stood for will remain in our mind for all times to come. We will never forget him. At least I can never forget him from my life, because he has inspired me in very many ways. So at last, I pay my regards, my homage to him, and once again I request, because if possible, to collect all his writings and publish it in a book form. Thanking you for giving me this opportunity to share some of my ideas. Namaste.
Thank you very much, Dhaneshwar Sahuji, for your elaborated message, as well as I know the amount of conversations he used to have with you and your participation in the World Atheist Conferences and all that. I think the relationship is very strong. Now I request Ramana Murthy Garu is here to share a few words, please. Raman Murthy Garu is not here. Okay. Balmiki Garu. Sharif Gora. And any representation from Andhashraddha Nirmulan Samiti, ANS, Mumbai? Avinash ji or any of the colleagues? EP Menon, CB Joseph, Shobana Radhakrishnan ji, are you here? Shobana? Yeah, I see Sharif Gora is here. I request Sharif Gora to please.
Minimum 5 minutes.
Yeah. Sharif Gora, over to you, please.
Hello, thank you, Kas, for inviting me here. I'm definitely most involved with Mr. Vijayam Garu, because whenever I used to visit this center, he is the person who is very warmly used to invite me into his office, wherever he is, and he used to inquire about my family welfare, everything. So he was very cordial, and the real human I have seen in him. I am always attached with Atheist Center people. They treat me as one of their family members. I'm glad for that. And it is a great loss for losing Dr. Vijayam. I feel it so. And the last World Meet also, I saw him, but he was little, almost you can say lost memory, something like that. Now it is really a great thing to remember such great people like Dr. Vijayam, and see we should take the torch of our elders further the way they have done it. I'm sure next generation, because and further Dr. Samaram, all of you will take it ahead. Due to this COVID, I don't think that next year we'll have that world meet. I remember one great event, Mr. Dr. Vijay, when I had a problem of my daughter's marriage in problem. I met him because the Atheist Center is only the guiding line for our family. So he gave a very good advice. Just he told me, because your daughter has to be at peace, so please accept the proposal, though it is very difficult, and go ahead with your daughter and keep her happy. That's what he said. So I didn't put any more questions or anything. And regarding that also, he gave a very good solution, advice to a good lawyer, which matter was settled very amicably and easily. Now my daughter and her children are happy just because the valuable advice Dr. Vijayam gave, and therefore, of course, during that our problem solution, Maitri also was there. So we are all very thankful to Atheist Center. Always our beacon is Atheist Center. We look at it. Even I told my daughter and my children, grandchildren, if you face any problem which you cannot solve yourself, please look at Atheist Center. You find the solution. So they will definitely meet and whatever the advice required, I'm sure they will get it. Thank you, Vikas, for giving me this opportunity to remember a great man like Dr. Vijay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sharif Garu. Now I request Radhakrishnan ji, Shobhana Radhakrishnan ji, who's here. Yeah.
Namaste to everyone. I'm sorry that I could not join from the beginning as I was busy in some other previous commitment. And I just recall that in Sevagram as a child, we used to love Goraji whenever he used to be in Sevagram. And we had such a special bond with Lavadam Bhai and everybody. But Vijayam Garu we met only when he came to the Gandhi Peace Foundation, when he joined the Gandhi Peace Foundation. That is sometimes in the early 70s. And that is the time we came to know him so very dearly. He was, of course, Gora family was part of the Gandhian family and a family for all of us. And it was a remarkable personality of Vijayam Garu who then stayed with us in Gandhi Peace Foundation working for 5 years. And that is the time when he became such a guiding force in my life to change the entire perspective of how one should run any organization, how one should study and write books. And he was giving such innumerable advices that it was very, very happy bonding. And of course, he was a family member. So with my mother, Kamalamma, and my father, Radhakrishna Garu, he was very, very dear to them. And he became so very close to the family. And since then, we have had a great opportunity of bonding with him. And for everything, I used to really call him up and look forward to his guidance and advice. And after my father passed away, he became the guiding force for me for all my work, which I had started after my father's demise. And it is a happy recollection for me always to think about the Gora family and to know each and everybody so intimately. It was a wonderful occasion. Every time we met, it was very, very warm and very special occasions. Such special occasion for me, at least in my life, as he became such an inspiration for everything that we were doing. Later on, he, of course, was involved in the Gandhi Peace Center also, and he had done wonderful things. And then once we met in Sevagram to commemorate my father's passing away 10th anniversary. And since then, he became the guiding, again, a guide for me, because he took on my request, he became the chairman of the Radhakrishna Foundation. And how he guided the work of the foundation is so remarkable. At any time I could call him, at any time I could go back to him and ask him for guidance. And later on, when I was doing Gandhi Katha all over India, I happened to come to Vizag also, and we came to meet Vijayam Garu especially, and he spent a lot of time with us. And then he said, I must go on propagating the messages of Gandhiji, not only all over India, but internationally also. So since then, my journey started of, educating people, giving Gandhi Katha internationally also. And while I was writing a book on my father, for every detail, I would check with him, I would go back to consult, and he was always there to give me so much encouragement. And it is because of his inspiration, because of his kind words and wonderful guidance that I was able to complete it on time, of course, with the help of all the great people like Kalanand Bhai and Rita Bahan and all those people of the Gandhi Peace, Gandhian family, and my husband also, who was, and Vijayam Garu was very fond of Raviji. And always he used to tell him to make a checklist of all the things, never miss out anything. So he was very particular about giving detailed instructions. So those fond memories, such recollections are always there in our hearts. And I truly miss him, because at any point in time I had anything to ask him, any problem to address, he was there always very keen to tell us how to go about it. So I and my husband, we join in paying our humble homage to Vijayam Garu today. And yeah, lastly, I think just sometime before he passed away, I could manage to speak to him about the book. And he was kind enough to talk to me for some time and express his feelings. Always he used to tell me to write booklets, small booklets, and go ahead and write about everything that I wanted to. So such inspirational personality he was, and he endeared himself to everyone. Every one of us looked up to him. This is the recollection that I have of this great man. Of course, with all other siblings of his, we had a very special relationship. But Vijayam Garu always stood there in the place of my father for me, and I remember him very fondly, and I pay my humble tributes to him today. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Shobnaji. I think that speaks it all. Kind of relationship right from Radhakrishnan ji, and that is very, very strong, and they were potentially a force to make sure that the development of a country goes in the right direction. We're looking at the Gandhian thought, Gandhian action. It's an incredible thing. Encyclopedias, they were both of them when it comes to the way they had the knowledge about the sector, they had a visioning for future together. So thanks a lot for bringing all those memories back. Really appreciate your message. Thank you very much. What I would request is if anybody, because some of the numbers are there for the mobile, so the names are not clear. If I had missed anybody, it shows YU 1938 and all that. So I can't put a name to that, this thing. I would like to know if any of our colleagues from, once more, any Andhashraddha Nirmulana Samiti are here, or MC Das, EP Menon, CB Joseph, if any of you are here, please do share. If not, I'd like to just open it up. So if anybody would like to share any of your thoughts before we close. Is anybody who would like to step in and share your thoughts? Please introduce yourself and you can share. Okay, so what's the request from us is we would come back to you all because we want to bring a remembrance book wherein some of the messages from you in writing. So if you have any old photographs or any messages that you have, so it's important to keep the institutional memory of these individuals alive, because these memories are the one which make the future generation understand that how much effort has gone in building a nation, how much effort has gone in investing into development or scientific temper, humanism in action. So this documentation is something which we see is going to have an historical relevance. So we look forward to your sharing as well, Shobhanaji, so that you can share the relationship between Atheist Center Dr. Vijayam and Radhakrishnanji as well, and from a Gandhi Peace Foundation angle, and in a comprehensive Gandhian thought as well, so that it will be good to capture your view when you're writing, giving me that message. I'll come back separately for that. So I really thank each one of you for making it possible today, in spite of your busy schedules, for coming together and sharing your association and affiliation, Dr. Vijay. Yes, we are here to celebrate his life, because that is the key. Because all the people who have put in their efforts, many of you who are here, and Dr. Vijayam had his relationship, and the Gora family had relationship right from your parents. So more or less, it's something, a very strong generational connect. I'm glad that we are continuing it, and we celebrate that togetherness. We celebrate the partnership, and at the same time, let's work together much more stronger, and share notes, share thoughts, and especially in these pandemic times, there's a lot more that we need to do together to make the difference possible. So thank you once again to each one of you for joining, and we'll be sharing the recording of this Zoom, putting it separately, so it's also going to be available in public space. So I thank each one of you and the entire Gora family, on behalf of the Gora family, Dr. Samaram and Niyanta, Dr. Maru, and everybody who are here, and Rashmi, Kirti, and also my wife Harini, as well as grandchildren, Saujas, Sahasra, and all of them, the younger generation, Sahas, who had shared their thoughts. So all of them together, we really appreciate your joining, and look forward to your continued relationship. Thank you very much, and please have a safe day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
For more videos, please subscribe to this channel Positive Atheism and activate the bell icon.